You sold yourself cheap. She just took the offer. The curious task of economics is to demonstrate to men how little they really know about what they imagine they can design. Friedrich Hayek said this about markets, but he might as well have been talking about modern relationships. Because here's what nobody wants to tell you. You're not a victim of her manipulations. You're a victim of your own terrible pricing strategy. Every day, millions of men walk around wondering why. They're treated like discount merchandise in the relationship marketplace. They give away their attention like free samples at Costco, offer their time like it's a going out of business sale, and then act shocked when they're valued accordingly. The brutal truth? She didn't devalue you. You did that yourself, long before she walked into the picture. Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone treasure something they got for free? When did you last see someone carefully preserve what cost them nothing? You wouldn't, and neither will she. Yet somehow, we've convinced ourselves that love operates outside the fundamental laws of human psychology. That scarcity and value don't apply when hearts are involved. Picture this. A man texts a woman immediately after every conversation. Ends. He cancels his plans whenever she's available. He agrees with every opinion she shares, even when it contradicts his own beliefs. He pays for every meal, buys every gift, offers every favor without being asked. Then he wonders why she seems less interested with each passing week. This isn't cruelty on her part, it's psychology. But here's what Carl Jung understood that most men today don't. What we refuse to acknowledge about ourselves gets projected onto others. You're angry at her for not valuing you, but you're really angry at yourself for not valuing you. She's just holding up a mirror to your own self-worth, and you don't like what you see. The marketplace is ruthless but honest. It tells you exactly what you're worth based on how you present yourself. And right now, you're presenting yourself like a desperate retailer on Black Friday. Everything must go. No reasonable offer refused. This isn't about manipulation or games. This is about fundamental human psychology that governs everything from consumer behavior to romantic attraction. When something is abundant and easily accessible, we assign it lower value. When something is scarce and must be earned, we treasure it. Your grandmother understood this when she only brought out the good china for special occasions. Your brain understands this when it makes you want the restaurant that requires reservations more than the one that's always empty. Yet in relationships, we somehow expect the opposite to be true. We expect our constant availability to create appreciation, our endless accommodation to generate respect, our total surrender to inspire love. But desire doesn't work that way. Never has, and it never will. Adam Smith wrote about the invisible hand that guides markets. But there's an invisible hand guiding relationships too, and it's far less forgiving than Wall Street. It operates on one simple principle. People value what costs them something and dismiss what doesn't. You've been operating under a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. You think generosity creates gratitude, that availability creates appreciation, that giving everything creates love. But psychology doesn't work that way. Neither does desire. When you make yourself infinitely available, infinitely accommodating, infinitely giving, you don't become infinitely valuable. You become invisible. Consider how you treat your most precious possessions versus the things you take for granted. Your grandmother's wedding ring sits in a safe. Your everyday shirt gets tossed on the floor. The difference isn't just material value, it's psychological scarcity. One is irreplaceable, the other is everywhere. Now ask yourself, which category do you fall into in her mind? When you text back immediately, cancel plans for her, rearrange your life around her schedule, agree with everything she says, are you the wedding ring or the everyday shirt? The painful reality is that desire isn't created by what's freely given. It's created by what must be earned. Every great relationship you've ever witnessed involved two people who remained slightly mysterious to each other, slightly challenging, slightly out of reach. Not because they were playing games, but because they valued themselves enough to maintain boundaries. You've been confusing love with surrender, thinking that giving up your standards, Your time, your other interests, your independence would somehow make you more lovable. Instead, it made you more forgettable. She doesn't need another person who agrees with everything she says. She needs someone who challenges her to be better. Here's where it gets deeper. This isn't just about romantic relationships. This pattern shows up everywhere in your life. The friend who always says yes to every request gets their boundaries crossed repeatedly. The employee who works every weekend without complaint gets passed over for promotion. The person who loans money without asking questions becomes the first stop for everyone's financial problems. Why? Because abundance creates complacency, and complacency kills appreciation. When someone knows they can have something anytime they want, they stop wanting it. When someone knows you'll always be there, always available, always accommodating, they stop seeing you as special. You become part of the furniture, comfortable, useful, but ultimately invisible. Think about the most magnetic people you know. Are they the ones who are always available, always agreeable, always trying to please everyone? Or are they the ones who have their own agenda, their own standards, their own life that they're fully engaged with? The ones who listen to you but also challenge you? The ones who care about you but also care about themselves? The difference isn't selfishness versus selflessness. It's wholeness versus emptiness. When you come from a place of needing something, from others, validation, attention, love, approval, you create a psychological vacuum that people can sense. When you come from a place of already having what you need and choosing to share it, you create an abundance that people are naturally drawn to. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The emperor understood something that escapes most modern men. True power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. Sovereignty isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being complete within yourself before you invite someone else into your world. It's about having standards and sticking to them, not because you're trying to manipulate outcomes, but because you respect yourself enough to maintain boundaries. Watch how a sovereign man moves through the world. He has his own mission, his own values, his own timeline. He doesn't check his phone constantly waiting for her response because he's busy building something meaningful. He doesn't cancel his gym session because she wants to hang out, because his commitment to himself comes first. He doesn't agree with everything she says because he has his own opinions worth expressing. This isn't about being selfish. It's about being whole. A sovereign man brings abundance to relationships because he's not coming from a place of neediness. He's not trying to fill a void. He's trying to share an overflow. There's a massive difference, and women can sense it immediately. The sovereign man understands that love is not a transaction where you pay with self-sacrifice and receive affection in return. Love is an exchange between two complete people who choose each other not out of need, but out of genuine appreciation for what the other brings to the table. When you operate from sovereignty, something magical happens. You stop being the everyday shirt and start being the wedding ring. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you actually are hard to get. Your time, your attention, your commitment all become valuable because they're given selectively, with intention, to people who've earned them. But here's what sovereignty really looks like in practice. It's the man who has a Thursday night routine he never breaks, not because he's being stubborn, but because he values consistency and self-discipline. It's the man who takes time to think before responding to emotional outbursts, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows reactive responses rarely lead to resolution. It's the man who has friends, hobbies, goals, and dreams that exist completely independent of any romantic relationship. Sovereignty means having an internal compass that doesn't change direction based on someone else's mood. It means being the same person whether you're single or in a relationship, whether she's happy with you or upset, whether things are going well or falling apart. It means your sense of worth isn't tied to her approval, your happiness isn't dependent on her attention, and your identity isn't wrapped up in being her boyfriend. This creates what psychologists call outcome independence. You care about the outcome, but you're not attached to it. You want the relationship to work, but you're not desperate for it to work. You hope she chooses you, but you're not devastated if she doesn't. This paradox of caring without attachment is what makes you truly attractive, because it signals to her subconscious that you have options, that you have value, that choosing you would actually mean something. The sovereign man doesn't get angry when she's late. He uses the time productively. He doesn't get jealous when she mentions other men. He trusts his own value. He doesn't chase when she pulls away. He focuses on his own life and lets her come back when she's ready. This isn't strategy. It's genuine self-possession. Nietzsche said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." But he left out the most important part. What doesn't challenge you makes you weaker. And comfort, the kind that comes from always being available, always accommodating, always agreeable, is the greatest challenge killer of all. The hardest truth about relationships is this: the moment you start discounting yourself is the moment others start discounting you too. It's not personal. It's psychological law. We unconsciously assign value based on price, and your price is determined by how you treat your own time, attention, and energy. But here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop selling yourself cheap, when you start charging what you're worth, when you begin treating your own life as precious and irreplaceable, something remarkable happens. You don't become less lovable. You become more magnetic. You don't push people away. You attract the right people and repel the wrong ones. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or dismissive. It means becoming intentional. It means having the courage to say no to what doesn't serve you so you can say yes to what does. It means understanding that your greatest gift to any relationship isn't your availability. It's your full, authentic, sovereign self. The woman who truly deserves you isn't looking for a discount version of a man. She's looking for the premium edition. Someone who values himself enough to maintain his standards, his boundaries, his own life while choosing to share it with her. She doesn't want to be your everything. She wants to be something special, to someone who has everything within himself. Think about the last time you felt truly respected in a relationship. Was it when you were bending over backward, sacrificing everything, making yourself completely available? Or was it when you stood firm on something that mattered to you? When you had the difficult conversation instead of avoiding conflict? When you chose to be honest instead of agreeable? The respect came from the moments when you honored yourself. Because here's what we've forgotten in our culture of endless accommodation. You can't give what you don't have. You can't offer respect to someone else if you don't respect yourself. You can't provide stability to a relationship if you're not stable within yourself. You can't create attraction by being unattractive to yourself. This is why the men who seem to effortlessly attract and maintain healthy relationships aren't the ones who try the hardest to please. They're the ones who have built lives they genuinely enjoy, who have standards they actually maintain, who have purposes that extend far beyond any single relationship. They don't need a relationship to complete them, so they can enjoy relationships for what they actually are, a choice between two whole people to share their wholeness with each other. But let's be honest about what this path costs. It costs you the illusion that you can control how others feel about you through your behavior. It costs you the fantasy that if you just sacrifice enough, give enough, accommodate enough, someone will finally love you the way you want to be loved. It costs you the comfort of blaming others for how they treat you, because you'll realize that you taught them how to treat you. The price of sovereignty is taking full responsibility for your own life, your own happiness, your own value. The price of sovereignty is letting go of people who don't appreciate what you bring to the table, even when letting go hurts. The price of sovereignty is standing alone sometimes, being misunderstood sometimes, being rejected sometimes by people who prefer the discount version of you. But here's what you get in return. You get to wake up every day knowing that you're living according to your own values. You get relationships with people who actually see and appreciate who you are, not who you pretend to be. You get the deep satisfaction that comes from building something real rather than performing something fake. Stop looking for someone to complete you. Complete yourself. Stop trying to earn love through sacrifice, earn respect through sovereignty. Stop selling yourself cheap and wondering why nobody values the purchase. The market has spoken, and it's telling you exactly what you need to hear. The price you set for yourself is the price others will pay. So what are you worth? And more importantly, are you brave enough to charge it? Your life, your time, your love, these aren't clearance items. Stop treating them like they are. Start treating them like the rare, valuable, irreplaceable resources they actually are. Because once you do, you'll discover something amazing. The right people will be willing to pay full price, and the wrong people will move on to find someone else's discount bin. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And clarity, in a world full of confusion, is the most attractive thing you can offer.